All right, as I said, I would taking a little break from Tom Baker's Doctor Who era after Shada because there's a big change in this final season, getting ready for the fifth Doctor, really. And I don't know, I thought it was a moment to check out some past episodes. Well, yeah, thinking about it, I've decided to change on that. And because the animated Doctor Who episodes I have was Shada, of course, which also had live action scenes as well, whatever they were able to shoot at the time. The others was Power of the Daleks with Patrick Troughton, of course, his first adventure. And the other two were the David Tennant episodes, which I have yet to see. I have not seen them yet. And then Scream of the Shalka, which I did see, which that was supposed to be before they made the big return in 2005. They were seriously considering this web series of animated adventures of the Doctor, and this is the one they came up with. Obviously, they abandoned that and went with the live action series that we know today that started out really great, got really good, and then, well. But, well, I guess these things happen. So, along the way, if I come into possession of other episodes that I don't have in my collection, I will review them. And so, of course, Patrick Troughton's first adventure, Power of the Daleks, is the one that I'm going to review now. And then we'll get back to Tom Baker. The David Tennant episodes I'm going to save for when I get to David Tennant. Scream of the Shalka I'll probably do after I do review Paul McGann's TV movie. So we'll do it like that. So, yeah, Power of the Daleks is one of these lost episodes, and shamefully so. I mean, there's plenty of episodes lost, and actually they've recovered quite a few to where now the amount missing is under 100 now. So that's pretty interesting. But I seriously doubt that they're going to find all 6 parts of this Doctor Who adventure, and it's a real shame because it's a significant episode. This is the first one. This is a crossing over from the 10th planet, which was Hartnell's final. And there again, Hartnell, most of that's complete, but the final episode, the regeneration scene, is lost. There's a few segments of it that you can see, but it's just terrible that it's gone. So, of course, that one had to be animated. So you go into Power of the Daleks, and Ben and Polly, his companions at the time, are unsure as to who this is, and this is the first time you deal with regeneration. And they do handle it in a way that it's a bit rough for the Doctor, and he's acting a little strange. He's having to adjust to this and all of that. But unlike later versions of this, seems to take to it rather quickly. But I suppose some of his kind of odd behavior, and he acts a bit mysterious and somewhat mischievous in this, and I suppose you could chalk that up to lingering his regeneration and fitting into his new form. Always when I saw, even in the original imagery of Troughton's face being superimposed over Hartnell's face becoming the second Doctor, they had very similar features, and I often thought maybe the thinking in Troughton's casting was that he could be passed off as a younger version of the first Doctor. And obviously that's abandoned when he does it a third or a second time, as it were. He actually gets a lot taller and everything. But whatever, it's clearly, it's obviously a lot of stuff you make up as you go along. As time goes by, it gets a lot of cluttered, and you tend to need to kind of figure that out. But more times than not, few people do. So you just kind of have to figure it out for yourself, I guess. But there's really no explanation for why his clothes changed. Now, in a lot of ways, the outfits between Hartnell and Troughton are very similar. It's pretty much the same thing. I always thought that at least the coat was the same coat. It's just, it doesn't quite fit Troughton as much, and Troughton is more of a slob dress wise than Hartnell's doctor, which was all buttoned down and proper. And so that's really the only difference there. The checkered pants that he's wearing is not like the checkered pants that Hartnell was wearing. So it's just a mistake and an oversight in that, but it's not that his doctor didn't wear those pants. And, it is what it is. So, so they wrap that up pretty quickly. The companions are baffled by this. They don't understand it. He doesn't really explain it to them. He leaves them in the lurch on this, whereas later versions pretty much tell you what it is. So that's the situation they are. They land on this mysterious planet. It's a colony in the future on some planet. And there's some excavation going on in some derelict ship or what have you. And look, it's the Daleks. So it's a bunch of dormant Daleks in there, and this scientist who doesn't, like all stories of scientists that don't know when to leave well enough alone. And of course, the Daleks get revived, and slowly but surely, the scientist begins to understand that he's made a terrible mistake and opened up Pandora's box, and you can't put it back in. And he loses his marbles and ends up getting killed. Meanwhile, there's a plot to overthrow the ruling authority, a rebellion, and they're plotting to make use of the Daleks in the hopes that they can achieve this. Of course, the Daleks are they're for Daleks, and that's it. So they're using the humans for as long as they need them, and when they are satisfied they don't, they just start slaughtering everybody. And there's a lot of creepiness about it. There's sort of horror elements to it. And I don't know how it would have looked in the actual. You see a lot of stills and whatnot from it, but the animation obviously taking from that. But there's quite a few scenes. The best parts of these animations, the backgrounds look really cool, the structural stuff, and for things like robots and whatnot, it works very well, especially with the Daleks. And in some scenes they do look creepy. Where they're all in shadow, but there's a glow to the ocular apparatus they have and stuff like that. The people, on the other hand, well, and in fact, there's even a scene where some people are trying to fight the Daleks, but the Daleks exterminate them, and they fall flat like paper dolls because that's pretty much what they are. That being said, there is a very haunting scene of just all the dead laying on the floor as it pans over, and a Dalek just nonchalantly passes by, doesn't care, of course, because they don't. And so there's some high points here. The animation is just not up to snuff, but it's what you get. It's this weird marriage of computer animation with made to look like old 2D animation of the old days. The 2D animation, if it done in the way it was, probably would have looked a lot better in a lot of ways, but it takes too long, and it's too expensive to do all like that. So this is as good as it gets. I suppose in some future Element 1, the CGI is so damn good they can literally recreate the episode as it was supposed to be. Should someone want to take the time for it, and when it becomes cheaper to do so. And perhaps that could happen. Hell, they might even animate all the Big Finish episodes. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. Well, provided there's interest still after the state Doctor Who is in now. But, don't hold your breath. So, at least there's this. And it's the basic story. There's people in trouble. The Doctor knows there's a threat. They don't listen to him, even though he's impersonating the Examiner, which was some government oversight official who was supposed to come in there, but he gets murdered by a guy who's in with the rebellion. But the Doctor discovers his body and takes his badge. And they just believe that it's him. It's kind of a precursor. He didn't have psychic paper yet, so and so he just waltzes in, does all this stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff here. The elements that the Daleks required static electricity to exist and whatnot, I'm not so sure I bought that one. But they had to make it work some kind of way. And of course, on an ominous note, they leave, and what seems to be a destroyed Dalek seems to come back to life as the TARDIS leaves. They know the Doctor's trouble, but they don't really recognize him. So I thought you could have thrown it in that they were from some distant future and had already met the Doctor's incarnation and what have you. But that wasn't really the case, or maybe it was. You could make up your own mind on that one, I guess. So an excellent beginning for a new Doctor, an exciting story. The haunting and rather scary in elements and all that sort of thing. But it's hard to judge. Vocally, he sounds in strong form as his character for Patrick Troughton here, but can't really see it to judge it in total. Another element about a lot of these animations is that it's obviously the dialogue and the audio is taken from what you're supposed to see in the live action, whereas even though they had these photo stills and stuff, it's not enough to get across what exactly you're supposed to see. So there are sometimes these pauses, and the animation doesn't quite capture the body language that I assume is what's going on in some of this. But it still comes together. You understand what's happening, and you get the gist and the idea of what they were trying to do here. It's just a damn shame that it's gone. If there was some miracle and they find it in some basement somewhere, that would be great. But I don't know, I'm dubious. Maybe one or two they would find, which would be better than nothing. But yeah, I guess not. It's just a damn shame, especially for such an important episode for the Doctor, his second incarnation, and his first adventure. For the most part, is lost to time, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you do have the cartoon. And thank goodness for those people who recorded the audio. So, you got something. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.